Yeah, my office is a mess. It's normally, nah, who am I kidding? It comes in waves. Sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's not. When I'm busy and I'm shooting a lot, it gets messy, I'm not gonna lie. But usually it's rather organized. I don't have a ton on the agenda today because I am going and buying a couch this afternoon. Very exciting stuff, I know, home ownership. But for now, I got a few editing projects that I am working on. It's crazy how much my business and my life has changed over the last 6 months after making such a big pivot as a creator. If you guys follow me from Instagram or you know me from Instagram, you probably know that 6 months ago, I made a really big pivot with what I make, what I talk about, how I create, what I sell, and just like my business as a whole as a creator, because what I was doing was just not working for me. And I wasn't really happy with what I was doing. And so I decided to kind of just like risk it all and give chasing something like this a shot. It's insane how quickly you can be rewarded when you start to put your purpose and what makes you happy and fulfilled before everything else. What I've realized is when we aren't doing what makes us happy, right? Like when we're not chasing our purpose and we're not putting purpose before everything else, there's a lot of friction in everything there that we do. There's a lot of pushback because it's not exactly what we should be doing. So, for example, I was selling digital products. I was selling a lot of courses. I was doing live workshops, and where those were really valuable for my audience and they were super helpful, it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. And so it felt like everything I was creating had a contingency, and I just wasn't super happy with the business I was building and the content I was making, regardless of how valuable it was. But the moment that I pivoted and I started creating with purpose again, and sorry for the light, it's like a cloudy day, so the lighting is constantly changing. But anyways, the moment I started like putting myself first in terms of like my purpose first and helping people in a way that I wanted to and making content that I wanted to make, it's insane like how many opportunities were presented to me. And I know that like I'm in a position where I already had a larger audience, and so it's maybe easier for me to make that pivot from a financial and business standpoint. But from a mental standpoint, it wasn't really any easier abandoning everything I had built and having that humility. So if you're feeling a lot of friction in what you're doing, like if it feels like you've been grinding, every day for 5 years and like you've made some progress but not really, and you're not quite where you want to be and you just don't know where you need to go, it might be a good moment to just like reflect and be like, is the work I'm putting in today getting me closer to the dream I had when I was, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, whatever, a teenager? There's a reason why all of us start doing what we're doing. And if what we're doing on a daily basis doesn't align with the reason that we started doing what we're doing, or at least what we deep down know that we want to do, then it might be time to reflect and change what you're doing. I don't know, that was an impromptu rant, but it's something that's been on my brain a lot recently, and it's going to be probably a recurring theme in these videos because it's something that I hold very, very dear. I have a very, very, very strong belief that you have a duty to the world to offer your skills and your passions to the world. Like if you are a creative, it is your duty to offer that to the world and do what you want to do. I fucking hate when I hear people say they wish they could do something else and they never give it a shot. So I have some editing work and some fun stuff I gotta work on. So I will see you people in a bit. I used to read a lot growing up. I was huge into like fiction books. My mom was a librarian, so it was kind of inevitable. And I used to read a ton. Like I would read like I was watching TV as a kid. Like I'd dead ass spend like hours in my room reading. But as I got older, especially into like college and my early 20s, I stopped reading fiction books. And I kind of stopped reading as a whole because whatever, I just fell out of it. Now in my early 20s, I wanted to revisit it because I was kind of in the world of like self-improvement and philosophy. And so I started picking up nonfiction books, a lot of philosophy, self-improvement, habit building books of that nature. And I had a problem. I rarely finished books. I would get a quarter of the way, halfway through, sometimes 3/4 of the way through a book, and I wouldn't finish the book because frankly, I got bored. I never had that issue when I read fiction, but in my early 20s, I, for some reason, adopted this idea that if I was reading something, I needed to be getting something from it directly. I needed to be learning something that I could point to and be like, hey, I learned this thing. And if I wasn't, it was a waste of my time. And I really held that mindset for a while, like most of my early 20s into like my mid 20s. I had that mindset of like, if I'm reading, I need to be learning something from it directly, some sort of like actual tangible knowledge, if you will. However, this led me to literally never finishing books. And I always felt like reading was a chore. No matter how much I did it, even though I started doing it more, it always felt like a chore. Like I had to convince myself to do it. And if I didn't do it in the morning, I probably wouldn't do it at all throughout the rest of the day. Fast forward to probably about a year ago, I'd done this again where I had started a book, didn't finish it, and I was like sick of being the person who like chronically didn't finish books. And so I went to the store and I bought some random fiction book because I knew from growing up that I liked fiction. I'm a Harry Potter guy. I love Harry Potter, love Star Wars, like, you know, the classic stuff like that. I mean, Star Wars is not a book, but just saying, like, I love that world, right? I was always like a fiction nerd. So I was like, okay, I'll buy a fiction book. Hopefully this gets me into reading. And little did I know, I bought the book, and within 4 days, I read the entire like 600-page book. So I went back in the store, bought the second book of the trilogy, did the same thing again, bought the third book, finished the trilogy. Then I went and found a duology from the same author, read that, and next thing I knew, I was like in love with reading again. And it was all because I heard this quote from Naval where he said, read what you love until you love to read. And it really stuck with me because it made me realize that like through reading fiction, I started to fall back in love with just reading, right? Like picking up a book instead of turning on the TV or like picking up my phone. And that was obviously really helpful for my reading habit. But the other thing that I learned that is arguably more important is I realized that there is a lot to learn in fiction that we typically do not acknowledge or associate with fiction. It's easy to look at fiction books and be like, that's just some random wizard casting spells in a world that doesn't exist. What could that possibly teach me about life? But what we often forget is that real people created these worlds and created these characters and wrote these stories. And a lot of them are writing from personal experience and just adapting it into, you know, a different form. Like the stories and the struggles you hear about in characters in, say, Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter or whatever, those big, you know, big name fiction stories came from real personal struggles that maybe the author was, you know, dealing with himself or people he saw in his life. And so I realized that like these stories have real lessons if you look into it. So a few of my favorite fiction books that I just wanted to recommend quickly, if you are someone who's struggling to read or wants book recommendations, whatever, in the world of fiction. I'm also, by the way, I'm still a big nonfiction reader. I'm more of a nonfiction reader now than I was before because I started reading fiction. So if that doesn't say something, then I don't know what will. But first of all, the book that got me into fiction and reading again is called A Darker Shade of Magic. It's a trilogy. It's been a while since I read it, so like I'm not gonna be able to, you know, recite exactly what it's about verbatim, but it's just about like a world split into multiple worlds, and it's like wizards or magic or whatever, if you will. So if you're into like Harry Potter or anything like that, good book. Another one is called Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It's hard to say a lot about this one without spoiling it, but essentially from what I remember, it's sort of like you go into this coffee shop, you order a cup of coffee, you can like go back in time, revisit a memory, but you have to return back to where you are before the coffee gets cold. It's kind of like a cozy book, if you will. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It's a really quick read. And then the last one, which is kind of the book that inspired me to talk about this at all, is called The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I've read like every book from Matt Haig. I hope I'm saying Haig right. I hope that's how you pronounce it. But so I'm already a huge fan of his, and he writes a combination of like memoirs, nonfiction, fiction books, but this is a novel called The Midnight Library. And it was the reason that I wanted to talk about this in the first book that made me like think about fiction books in this way, because it's essentially a story about a woman who is, I believe, having like a near-death experience or something like that. And she's able to go back and essentially live her life as if she made different decisions. And, you know, basically it allows her to go back and like view her life in a way where she made different decisions throughout her life and see how those different things turned out. And the moral of the story is essentially like to appreciate the life you have and live in the present, or appreciate the life you have and live it to its fullest, which like spoke to me a ton, which is something I maybe wouldn't have gotten from a nonfiction book, but since it was a fiction story and I related to the character, I got a lot out of it. So the places that you read about in fiction books may not be real, but the characters in the book are as real as you and I. And so if you're someone who wants to read more, you want to get more out of reading, you're struggling to keep a reading habit, or maybe you're just want to dive back into reading since you haven't read a fucking book since you were forced to in high school English class. Find a fiction book that is in a genre that you like, whether it's like sci-fi or cozy or fucking whatever, and just read that shit. And eventually over time, after you read more and more books, you'll fall in love with it and you'll be reading books that are typically considered boring and harder to read. One more thing too, if you don't like a book, don't finish it. Like, everyone thinks that once you start a book, you have to finish the book. If you're not enjoying the book, just close it and find another one. But yeah, I hope you guys pick up a book. Let me know if you guys have any book recommendations down below, because I'm always looking for new books. But yeah, read more books. Books are cool.
Start calling my bluff if you wanna make a mess. Don't call you enough, not as much as I intend. I don't say it enough, but I'll thank you in the end. Might delay a few events on the day, it just depends. I got way too many friends, I got way too many friends, I got way too many friends, I got way too many. Tell them that I'm missing out, I can't tell you what it's really got, 8 times out of 10. I got way too many
Guy backed into like a week ago. Hate to sue him.
Rip the initial B license plate.
Had to put something on my buttons, gotta be tucked into my pants. Had to be shutting like it was nothing, I got a judgment in advance. Done and dusted, you cannot touch this cause I'm reluctant when I dance. It's so similar, a visitor who never got a chance. I can't tell them that I'm missing out.
New zone unlocked, new map unlocked. So yeah, me and Anna closed on our second property yesterday, and this is the space. I'm not gonna like show you guys all of it now because we're not moving in for another month and a half, and in that time we're doing a lot to it to like make it our own and kind of spice it up, you know, make it cool. I just wanted to like introduce it to you guys. I know that I don't talk about this stuff at all, obviously, on like Instagram. Like literally none of you probably know that I have any sort of like interest in real estate, but we do. Super excited about it. I will show you guys at the end of this video what will be the office, because I want some help figuring out how to decorate. I consider myself someone who has like decent taste, but I get easily overwhelmed when it comes to like having a new space and needing to like build it from the ground up. So I'm going to be looking for advice in that realm. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this style of video. This is the first of many. I know I already talked about it, but I feel like I have not been creatively challenged in a long time. That's not to say that I think I can't get better. It's more so saying that I've been doing this short form content thing for like 4 years now, and it certainly has its place for me. And I know that like that's my bread and butter. I do a lot of brand deals over there and I know it really well, but long form has been something that, as I said before, has been like that thing that's just been yapping at me, telling me to do it because of what I want to do with my business and with my brand. You know, I want to help as many fucking people as I can. And I know that this is the most effective way to do that moving forward. And I want to show more about myself and my life that I think is valuable to you guys and relatable. And I want to show you the behind the scenes of like what it's like to actually chase your dreams. As corny as that sounds, like I just want to be an inspiration to show you guys like, hey, it doesn't look clean, you know, it's messy, it's sloppy, it's not easy, but I want to be a pillar to like show you that regardless of all those things, it's entirely possible if you commit yourself to it. Stay tuned for house renovations. I'm excited for this little side quest we got going here. It's gonna be dope. I'm excited to see what the space looks like. It's gonna be so fucking cool. Like it's gonna be so sick. It's gonna be so sick. I can't wait to show you. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, please drop a like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Look at this. So much room for activities, bro.
Yeah, so I was gonna show you guys the office. Let me show you that real quick. All right, so here's the space. Yeah, I know it's yellow. It's fucking hideous, but it will be painted, obviously. And there's like ample room for activity. Let me show you let me give you reference. This is me. I'm like 6 feet. I don't know how much this helps, but yeah, a lot of space. I'm excited to like build it out and make it my own. I obviously have a home office at the apartment, but like having your own space, I can just put a fucking hole in that wall if I wanted to. I want to hear your guys' feedback, so let me know down below. Okay, later. See you next time. Bye. Pulled out of the parking lot. Rain. Immediately. Like literally immediately. It wasn't even supposed to rain. Like, just my luck.
We got a couch for the basement.